Finally, the movie Captain America 4: The Brave New World has been released. And we're going to talk about the movie. Is it worth it or not? Do you need the serum, Andy, or not to be Captain America? We're going to bring in the perspectives of Chris Evans, who is Captain America with the serum, and Anthony Mackie, who is Captain America without the serum. Just a reminder, if you like the channel, go ahead and leave your comment and like the video. And if it's your first time here, watch the video and then decide if you want to like it or subscribe. Let's go straight to the contents.
Hey there, everyone. Today, I'm going to lay it all out about the controversy that's taking over the Marvel Universe. The fact that I, Sam Wilson, have taken up the mantle of Captain America. Yep, it's me. Without the famous super soldier serum, but with a good dose of determination and, of course, a lot of style. Let's get to it, because I have a lot to share. First, let's remember an important detail. Steve Rogers himself chose to pass the shield to me. This wasn't a random decision. He saw in me the qualities that define the true Captain America. Courage, integrity, and the commitment to fight for what's right. It's not the serum that makes the captain, it's the character. Steve knew me well enough to trust me with this responsibility. Now, about the serum, seriously, really. What defines a hero isn't a bottle of superpowers. Look at Batman, Hawkeye. And even for me, before the shield, I've always been on the front lines, facing huge threats, just with my skills and determination. I don't need serum to prove my worth. True power comes from the mind and the heart, and if you think I'm not worthy because I don't have super strength, let me remind you. Steve himself started out as a scrawny and weak guy, chosen not for his physique, but because he was a good man. The serum just amplified what was already there. I already have what matters, an unwavering moral compass. In addition, my military background and battlefield experience have prepared me for this role. I served with honor, leading teams, making tough decisions under pressure. Captain America isn't just about fighting. It's about leading, inspiring, and protecting. And I do that with excellence. And speaking of leadership, in the comics, Steve and I continue to work together, even after he passed the shield to me. We are two captains, America, each with their own style and approach, and that enriches the legacy of the shield. There's no rule saying there can only be one. About representation, being the first African-American superhero to take on the mantle of Captain America means a lot to me and to millions of people. This isn't just about diversity. It's about showing that anyone can be a hero, regardless of skin color. The symbol of Captain America represents the fight for equality and justice, and I carry that with pride. And for those who think Bucky should have been the chosen one, look, Bucky is an amazing friend, but he carries a complicated past. He was a killer controlled by Hydra for years. That doesn't disqualify him as a hero, but the role of Captain America is a role. It requires someone who can be a public symbol of hope and integrity, something even Bucky himself recognized in me. Now, let's talk about the criticisms that I'm generic, or that I've lost the charm from the comics. In the comics, I have a real falcon, powers to communicate with birds, and a unique style. In the MCU, maybe some of that is missing, but I'm still the same guy who fights for the people. And you know, who knows? Maybe Marvel will bring some of those traits back in the future. I also miss the original Red Wing. By the way, speaking of elements that were left out, in the comics, I have a telepathic connection with Red Wing, my loyal partner, and a real falcon. Red Wing is a crucial ally in combat, able to perform complex tactical maneuvers while we share thoughts and emotions. That bond is really cool, but it's also strategic, enhancing my ability to act in high-risk situations. It would be amazing to see that dynamic in action. In the movies, don't you think? In addition, this telepathic ability allows me to sense the environment through the Falcon's eyes, providing an unmatched tactical advantage in reconnaissance and surveillance missions. Imagine the visual impact that would have on the big screen. Another thing that Marvel could have explored more is my leadership ability in global missions. In the comics, I lead teams in complex operations, not just with brute force, but using smart tactics. This shows that Captain America is also a master strategist, not just a soldier with a vibranium shield. And of course, I can't forget my journey as a defender of civil rights. In the comics, I tackle social issues head-on, using the shield not just for physical battles, but to fight against social injustices. This deeply connects me with the legacy of Captain America, showing that being a hero goes beyond just defeating villains. It's about inspiring real change. Finally, about the CGI, scripts, and reshoots of the movie, well, that has nothing to do with me as a character. Production problems happen, but what matters is the heart of the story. And at the heart of the story, Sam Wilson is here to show that the true Captain America doesn't need serum. He needs soul. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to me. Now I want to know, what do you think? Does the shield suit me or not? Let's chat in the comments. Don't forget to leave an America like and subscribe to the channel.
You know that moment when you're just relaxing and suddenly the world decides to talk about you? Well, yeah, welcome to my day. I had to stop my dancing with Peggy to come here and talk to you all. Here I am, Steve Rogers, to clarify the controversy that's dominating everyone's conversations. The fact that Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. And yes, I'm the guy who handed him the shield. Let's get straight to the point. First, let's talk about the main reason. I didn't choose Sam by chance. I chose him because he represents what Captain America should be. An upright man, brave and with an unwavering sense of justice. The shield doesn't define the hero. It's the heart that carries it. And honestly, if you think that just the serum makes a captain, maybe you're watching the wrong movies. Oh, the super soldier serum. This conversation again. The serum only amplifies what a person already is. If it were just about the serum, John Parker would have been the perfect hero. But we know how that went wrong. Sam doesn't need serum to be amazing. He has something that no vial could provide: character. On top of that, he has combat experience, leadership skills, and an unwavering commitment to what's right. Now, about Bucky. I love that guy, but let's be real. He has a complicated past. Sam, on the other hand, has always been a symbol of hope. He doesn't carry the weight of guilt, but the responsibility to inspire. Bucky knows that himself. And if you think Sam doesn't have the charm from the comics, remember, cinema has its limitations. But who knows? Maybe Red Wing and his telepathic connections will show up in the future. Speaking of which, Red Wing in the comics is a falcon that Sam has a telepathic connection with. This allows him to coordinate attacks with almost surgical precision. Imagine the cinematic potential of this. Sam could literally have real-time aerial vision, making him an even more formidable strategist. Moreover, Sam is a hero who isn't limited to the battlefield. In the comics, he confronts social issues head-on, standing up for the oppressed, and fighting against systemic injustices. That makes him more than just a hero. He is a symbol of resistance and hope for many. Captain America is not just a shield and a uniform. It's an ideal, and Sam embodies that brilliantly. And if we're talking about mantle changes, why all the controversy now? In Marvel itself, we've seen changes that no one questioned. Thor's mantle passed to Jane Foster, and no one made a fuss when Thor continued to shine in his own stories. Nick Fury, who was originally white in the comics, gained an iconic version inspired by Samuel L. Jackson, without any significant resistance. And even Miles Morales took on the role of Spider-Man in his universe, winning over a legion of fans. Without erasing Peter Parker's legacy, changes are part of the evolution of heroes. And speaking of heroes, let's remember some who didn't even need serum to become icon. Tony Stark himself, an ordinary man without superpowers, stands out for his genius, courage, and the heart he put into every decision as Iron Man. Hawkeye, Clint Barton, is just a man with a bow and arrows, but his importance is undeniable. I'm even going to appeal to our neighbor, DC. Comics, Nick Grayson, who took on the mantle of Batman for a time, proved to be worthy, even without superpowers. Batman, even though he's human, was one of the founders of the Justice League. So why can't Sam be Captain America? So if you're in doubt, think about it. What makes a true hero? It's not the serum, the shield, or the uniform. It's the courage to do what's right, even when no one is watching. Sam has that in spades. Now tell me, do you think the shield is in good hands? Just remember that nothing stops me from coming back to fight alongside him. After all, we're in the multiverse saga. Don't forget to like America and subscribe to the channel.
Guys, today I have some breaking news to share. It's me, Harrison Ford, President of the United States, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, and I'm right at the center of this story. And what if I told you there's a new Captain America out there, but things aren't so easy for him? Well, I'm going to tell you everything, no spoilers, or almost. Now, the story starts with me in the most powerful position in the world. But don't think it's just about pushing buttons and signing papers. While I'm trying to keep the country in order, Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, is out there investigating things that, honestly, it might be better to just leave alone. But who am I to talk, right? I'm a retired general who became president, and who would have thought he still has to deal with superhero problems? You must remember Steve Rogers, America's sweetheart. That's right. He decided to pass the shield to Sam Wilson. And now the new captain has to prove that he deserves the title. The problem is that he doesn't have the super soldier serum. Can you imagine being a hero and not having that genetic boost? He's also feeling that weight. And believe me, we talked about this a lot in the movie. Now, let me talk a little about myself because let's face it, I'm the star here. I'm President Thunderbolt Ross, and you know what? I've done pretty well. With so much chaos going on, my presence stands out. I'm that guy who has to make decisions that leave people biting their nails. But don't worry, because my performance isn't the kind that puts you to sleep. The movie tries to bring a bit of that political and espionage vibe that made Captain America, the Winter Soldier, a success. The intention was good, but it lacked that engaging rhythm. At times, it feels like we're waiting for a big climax that never arrives. If you enjoy a good suspense, you might get a bit annoyed with the delay for things to really kick off. Now, about the technical part. I know everyone was excited to see the Red Hulk, and guess what? He shows up for a little while, about 7 minutes to be exact. If you were expecting me to spend the whole movie smashing everything, you can forget about that. The promotional material sold way more than what actually happens. But I can't complain too much. At least my moments on screen are well done. And about the special effects. Well, let's just say that even I, being in the movie, felt that some scenes were a bit weird. Some fight sequences are a bit stiff. And the visual effects, especially in some flying scenes, could have been better. There's a specific scene where I looked around and thought, this right here. It looks like a poorly cut green screen, but hey, it is what it is, right? The MCU has its ups and downs, and unfortunately this time we fell more into the latter group. The big problem with the movie is that it tries to take a little bit from various MCU films and mix it all together. In the end, it ends up feeling like a patchwork quilt. Some parts actually work, but others leave us with that feeling of déjà vu. And speaking of déjà vu, you know those loose ends in the MCU that we keep waiting for? Resolution. Well, some of them are tied up here, which is a positive point. Despite the problems, one of the highlights of the movie is how it handles Sam Wilson's identity as Captain America. The script does a good job of exploring the challenges he faces, both internal and external, while carrying this legacy. Seeing the character dealing with doubts and trying to find his own path within that iconic mantle adds an emotional layer that makes the journey more interesting. On the other hand, the film also falters by trying to fit too many stories at once. In addition to tying up some loose ends, it adds subplots that end up not being fully developed. Some parts of the plot feel loose, as if they were added in a hurry, which can make the experience a bit confusing. The main villain of the film is the leader, played by Tim Blake Nelson. His character, Samuel Stearns, returns after his appearance in The Incredible Hulk, and this time his enhanced intelligence makes him a real threat to Captain America and the US government. He positions himself as a strategist who uses his genius to manipulate events and create controlled chaos, something that makes him a much more dangerous antagonist than just a simple physical villain. Still, the execution of the character divides opinions, as his presence could have been more impactful within the plot. Besides him, we also have a secondary villain played by Giancarlo Esposito. Unfortunately, his role ends up being underdeveloped and his presence in the story is underutilized. His character has the potential to be a memorable antagonist, but he ends up serving only as a supporting piece in the leader's plan, without any big moments to shine. This ends up being a waste, considering Esposito's talent for playing charismatic and threatening villains. The film establishes direct connections to upcoming MCU events, especially Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers, Infinity War. The subtle hints and some references that suggest important developments for the future of the franchise. Some characters introduced here may play crucial roles in the upcoming films, which could leave fans eager for what's to come. In the end, the film is not a disaster, but it is not a new classic either. If you're a fan of the MCU, you'll want to watch this, even if it's just to be able to complain later. Now, if you're expecting something on the level of a Winter Soldier, you might want to lower your expectations, but you want to know if you don't go in with high expectations, you might even have some fun, especially since there aren't any good options. Or are you going to prefer watching the new Snow White movie? Well, you already know how I get if I lose my cool. Now, seriously, if you've made it this far and you didn't leave a like, didn't subscribe, and didn't even comment, well, I have a little surprise for you. Let's just say that Red Hulk might not be as patient as I am. Do you really want to take that risk? You better secure your engagement quickly before I have to handle this in a more explosive way. I, Red Hulk, will respond when I'm calmer.